Buddha said, desire is the root of all suffering. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. The more we desire, the more we suffer. I believe that this sentiment is more of a reality now in our modern era. It's more true than it's ever been. If you think about at our basic level, what we actually require is food, water, and shelter, right? These are some of our basic core needs for survival. Yet we kind of have this convoluted, very complicated list of things that we actually want, and that is why it drives us to a lot of our own suffering. This is why you need a lot less than you think, and my belief is that the less you want, the better off you are. In our society, it tells us to consume, consume, consume. Our economy, our society is basically built off of us wanting more. The more we want, the more we buy. The more we buy, the better off these companies are, the more profits they earn, and these profits drive up the company's bottom line, which doesn't really benefit us, except that we have a house full of clutter, a house full of junk, and things that really make us forget why we're living in the first place, right? We always have to upgrade, we always have to get the latest gadgets, and it becomes a never-ending cycle, right? It becomes a cycle of buying things that you really don't actually need in order to impress people that you don't really care about. And so this is a vicious cycle that consumerism has brought upon us in our modern society. And I think that happiness is often talked of as a destination. It's something that we think is one day we magically arrive and we're gonna be happy. It's as simple as that. But I believe that it's something of a journey. It's something that we choose on a daily basis. We choose to be happy. And I think that a lot of us tend to think that having more things equates to happiness. And I think that it's difficult because we're living in a society where the advertisements, social media, all these things are pushing on us to purchase things that we don't really need. Whether that's the latest gadgets or things that you see on TV, things that you see on social media where your friends are posting on things that they just recently purchased, and you're like, oh, maybe I should purchase it as well. And each of these desires has a price tag, right? It's something that you had to work for the money in order to purchase these things. So it's difficult when you're spending all your time working in order to get a little bit of money, and then that money is then exchanged for some type of good, right? And that type of good might cost $100, but technically the hidden cost behind it is that $100 that you might have earned in a day's work was an entire day or your life energy. One day of your life's energy was spent because you wanted to purchase some gadget that you might have just wanted to throw away, things that you don't actually need, right? So I think that it's difficult in our modern age, right, to consume. And at the core of it, I believe that there is a solution. The solution is perhaps an antidote for the ills of our modern society, and that is wanting less. If suffering is the root of, if suffering is due to desiring more, I think that the opposite of wanting less would be the antidote, right? I feel like we need to learn how to coexist with what's happening in our society and consumerism at large. It begs the difference, it begs the question of whether or not we actually are happy with ourselves. I think that's the bottom line, most difficult question, because if I don't purchase things and I'm not always chasing for material possessions, that leaves a big gap and a big void in a lot of people's lives, and the tough questions start to come up. Do I actually enjoy my life without having to purchase things? Am I truly living to experience life and not just buy things that you don't really need? And to really understand our inclination for purchasing things, I think there's value in being able to live a more minimalist lifestyle, right? To go against the grain, to go against what everyone else around us is doing. And it requires a mindset shift. It requires us to think outside the box. And that's moving from the idea of scarcity, right, to abundance mindset. To not say that I am not purchasing this, so I am missing out, to the idea of I actually have everything I need. I have food, I have shelter, I have water, I have friends, I have community, I am experiencing life. I'm grateful for the things that I already had. Because a long time ago, you probably really wanted the things you already owned. You spent hours researching it. You spent hours agonizing whether or not you should buy it and whether it was worth it. And now that you have it, you might have actually neglected it. You might have thought, hey, I actually want something new now, and neglect the things that you already own. And so that becomes an idea where, what do I already have? What is free? What is abundant in my life, right? It's so simple as the sun on my skin, the nature surrounding us, the parks, the rivers, the mountains that are all around us. These things are all free. And some of the best things in life are free and they're all around us, yet we are distracted by the ads. We're distracted by social media. We're distracted by these ideas of from people and corporations that plant in our mind that we are missing something, that we need more, right? And I think that our desires are personal and very unique to ourselves. And that sort of leads into the idea that you should be able to choose your suffering. Now, I'm not saying that you can avoid all suffering, because in life, you are going to be faced with challenges. You are going to want things, and it's gonna be hard, right? I'm not telling you you have to live like a monk and live a ascetic lifestyle where you're only begging for your food and you're living off grid and you're gonna go build your own cabin and grow your own food. For most of us, that's difficult, right? That's difficult. And even monks are meditating day in and day out to calm and tame their desires. And I don't think you and I have that much time in the day in order to pursue such a difficult lifestyle. So I think the balance is to choose your suffering, to choose the things that you're going to suffer for. For some of us, it's going to be a house that we call for ourselves, a home, right? But keep in mind that spending so much time and energy to purchase a home is a drain on your life energy. The years that you need to work in order to purchase a house, right? And I'm not saying a house is good or bad, right? It's a personal choice that everyone needs to make for themselves. But I am saying that you can choose how much you're gonna suffer for it. There's a difference between purchasing a house that is adequate, that is just right and just enough for yourself, and being a little bit extravagant. Having the need for a big pool, for 5-6 rooms and tons of yard space so you can run around and maybe even barely use, just to say that you have it, right? Just to be like, I have that so I can use it if I just so choose. But you have to realize the hidden cost behind all things you purchase and allow into your life, right? How much of your life's energy are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to suffer for those things? That is the hidden cost, right? The peace of mind, the time you spend researching it, the agonization, thinking, did I make the right choice? All of this costs something, right? That isn't included in the price tag, but maybe it should be more considered. And so, in my view, choosing your suffering is a powerful idea which you can incorporate into your own life. Right? What am I willing to suffer for? What are the things that I actually need? The more you want, the more difficult your life becomes, because you end up being beholden to your possessions. You become inundated with so many things that are in your life, the noise around you that makes you having to keep up with the latest trends, having to keep up with the latest fashion, and ultimately it keeps you on the wheel, on the rat race, on the circle of people and the group of people that are having to continuously work for things that they don't really need and end up discarding down the road. So this is why I think you actually need a lot less than you think. You really only need the basics for survival: food, water, shelter, and friendship. And most of the things that you are most beautiful in this world are free. So when you think about it like that, when you think about it in the terms of, I actually need a lot less, and that I probably already have an abundance of it. If you're having this, while we're having this conversation, I think that it's going to give you a lot of peace of mind. It's going to allow us to take back control of our lives and to realize that we should be more grateful and to appreciate the things that we already have. So I think with that, I want to ask you guys what you actually would suffer for. What are the things that you really appreciate in your own life? What are the things that you purchased and just wasn't what you expected and that you actually didn't need, and possibly some of the money and resources and time and energy that you've wasted? It's good to reflect on that and to be aware of the purchases and the things we bring into our life. And I think that with that, it brings more peace. So I'm very curious to hear what you guys all think, and I'll be reading the comment section below.